The Department of Justice is also consulting with local authorities about ways that they can maintain public safety without restricting the right of peaceful protest and while avoiding unnecessary escalation. I made clear to the Attorney General that we should do what is necessary to help determine exactly what happened and to see that justice is done. I also just spoke with Governor Jay Nixon of Missouri. I expressed my concern over the violent turn that events have taken on the ground and underscored that now's the time for all of us to reflect on what's happened and to find a way to come together going forward.
All right. I guess the cops might have acted stupidly again. Joining us now to talk about all this is Michael Tomasky, special correspondent for the Daily Beast, MSNBC analyst and editor of Democracy, a Journal of Ideas. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Steve.
All right, your take on what's going on. I mean, the president, he was a little more laid back in his remarks compared to Trayvon Martin and compared to the Cambridge incident, but nonetheless, he said what he said.
Yeah, I was listening in case he was gonna step into that quicksand, but I don't think he did. And you know, I think what he said split the difference pretty reasonably, and we'll see what happens down there.
What are we witnessing here in the media coverage of all this? I mean, you know, I'm watching Wolf Blitzer earlier talking about the incident itself. Couldn't the cops just have fired a warning shot? I mean, we don't even know what happened. The call to release the name of the officer when we know that that would lead to there's already been death threats for fake names and wrong names that have been released. I mean, the media, it just loves this. They couldn't care less about the 70 young blacks murdered in St. Louis, but they care about this, and they already have the cop guilty.
Well, it's just it's another feeding frenzy. You have a point. I actually agree with you about not releasing the cop's name. I assume this cop has a family of some kind, whether wife and children or parents, whatever he has. It's not their fault, and they would undoubtedly receive threats. So I agree with you there. But look, you know, the one serious part of there's a lot of silly parts of a media feeding frenzy, but the serious part of it is that the relationship between police forces and young black men in this country is, I mean, you can't even use the word relationship. I mean, it's awful. It's really, as much as race relations have improved in this country over the decades, that remains just terrible and insidious, and it'd be good to think we could do something about it.
Well, why do you believe that is?
Well, because if you're a young black man, a cop, particularly a white cop, is just going to view you naturally much more suspiciously than he's going to view a young white man. Now, there are statistical reasons why that should be so. That's fine. But, you know, statistical reasons why that should be so don't do much good to a perfectly innocent young guy who's presumably, as far as we know, a perfectly innocent young guy who's 2 weeks away from starting technical college and starting his life out.
Well, we don't know what happened in this incident. We hear of a struggle with the cop in the car, by the car. The cop went to the hospital with facial wounds, so we don't know what happened yet, and that's the problem. We didn't know what happened with Trayvon Martin, and we don't know what happened until we knew what happened, and we don't know what happened here yet. You know, you hear from Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton again that black men are under attack by cops when in fact they're under attack by other black men.
You're not destined to agree with me on this statement, but I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what happened with Trayvon Martin. I don't think George Zimmerman walked away from that experience and subsequent experiences in which he's made the news with a great deal of credibility. I think we kind of have a pretty good idea of what happened with Trayvon Martin. I think we have a good idea of what happened with the man Gardner in New York, and going back to my time when I was in New York covering these things, Amadou Diallo and Patrick Dorismond and a lot of others.
Well, Amadou Diallo, there was a trial. The cops were acquitted. There was a black jury foreman in that trial. George Zimmerman, he was acquitted. There were blacks on that jury. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but the facts of these cases came out, and they went a certain way, and and I think they were proven beyond a reasonable doubt, especially in Trayvon Martin's case. But we won't agree on that. Let's move to Iraq, and here's what the president said today No, we don't have that one. Okay, but the president did say, actually, do not expect that we're going to be in Iraq for a long time. As far as the airdrops, he said that the evacuation from the mountain is it's very successful, and the airdrops in Iraq, probably won't go on for that much longer. Your column, Why Liberals Should Back Iraq Intervention. Why and to what extent?
Why? Because ISIS is a uniquely bad bunch of guys, and because they have made their intentions, excuse me, their designs and their goals in the region very, very clear. They've established a little caliphate. They want to establish a big caliphate, take in Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. That's 60 million people. That would be a disaster for the region and the world and the United States, and we can't just let that happen. So we need to do something now. Now, what is something? That's a good question. I don't really know the answer to it. Get them off that mountain, get those people out of there, weaken them militarily to whatever extent we can that's prudent. Beyond that, I'm not sure how much we can really do. We can't wipe them out right now. We can't, but we have to develop some way to keep them in check, it seems to me.
Yeah, I would like to certainly see that as well. Again, the president, though, kind of went back to his original statement today about the humanitarian effort, which he addressed and said it's improving and could be over soon, and also that we'll protect our interests, embassies, and people in Iraq, in various sections of it. So I don't know if he's going to go further than that. But hey, great talking to you, Michael. Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Steve.
Bye-bye. Michael Tomasky, ladies and gentlemen, special correspondent for the Daily Beast, MSNBC analyst and editor of Democracy, a journal of ideas. Very interesting. Michael, always loved talking to him, always very calm and measured. And we could agree to disagree and part as friends, which I like, and as we did. I just am amazed. How would any of us react in the aftermath of not being able to get it? I mean, look what George Zimmerman went through before the trial. A bounty out on his head, dead or alive. Government did nothing. During the trial, after he was guilty during the trial, after he was acquitted, he was still guilty. And then the spotlight on him, the scrutiny. How would any of us act? Like normal, go back to our lives? He can't go back to his life. Anyway, we'll be back with more of the show, folks, but now stay tuned for your Newsmax Now update.